For most of human history, power was simple. If you wanted control, you needed soldiers. Armies took land. Armies enforced laws. Armies decided who ruled and who obeyed. Strength was physical. Violence was visible. But that world is gone. Today, nations fall without a single soldier crossing a border. No invasion, no declaration of war, just numbers, contracts, debt. And in many cases, debt has proven more powerful than armies ever were, when power meant force. In ancient times, empires expanded through conquest. Rome marched, Mongols rode, Britain sailed. Territory was taken by force. Taxes were collected at sword point. Resistance was crushed publicly. Armies were expensive, but their purpose was clear. Control the land, control the people, control the resources, the limits of military power. But military power had limits. Armies required constant funding. Weapons broke, soldiers deserted, wars drained treasuries. Empires didn't usually collapse because they lost one battle. They collapsed because they ran out of money. War was powerful, but unsustainable. And that weakness opened the door to a quieter form of control, the rise of credit. Long before modern banks, rulers borrowed money. Kings borrowed to fight wars. Emperors borrowed to build fleets. States borrowed to survive crises. At first, this borrowing was personal. If a king failed to repay, the lender could be imprisoned, exiled, or executed. Debt was risky. But over time, something changed when states became borrowers. As governments grew more complex, they became permanent institutions. The king might die, but the state remained. That changed everything. Lenders realized they were no longer lending to a person, they were lending to a system that could tax millions, a system that could borrow again to repay old debts. Debt became safer, and power quietly shifted. Financial power without invasion. Once governments depended on borrowing, those who controlled credit gained influence, not by force, but by terms, interest rates, repayment schedules, conditions. A nation could remain independent on paper while being financially constrained in reality. No soldiers required. The invention of national debt. National debt transformed warfare. Instead of conquering neighbors, states could outspend them. Borrow today, fight now, pay later. Future taxpayers would cover the cost. This allowed wars to become larger, longer, and more frequent. But it also created dependency, when credit decides policy. Over time, governments learned an uncomfortable truth. They could survive military defeats, but they could not survive a loss of credit. If lenders stopped trusting them, the system froze. No borrowing, no spending, no stability. Debt became the backbone of the state. Empires built on balance sheets. By the 19th and 20th centuries, financial power rivaled military power. Countries with strong credit could project influence globally without firing a shot. They could fund allies, shape trade, stabilize or destabilize economies. Debt replaced occupation. Modern war looks different. Today, conflict rarely begins with invasion. It begins with sanctions, capital flight, currency pressure. Access to global finance is weaponized. A country can be isolated from trade, credit, and payment systems almost instantly. The economy collapses before the army ever mobilizes. Debt as a disciplinary tool. Debt enforces discipline quietly. Budgets are shaped by interest payments. Policy choices are limited by market reactions. Governments don't ask what is best for society, they ask what markets will tolerate. This is power. Why debt is more effective than armies. Armies create resistance. Debt creates compliance. Occupation sparks rebellion. Financial dependency appears voluntary. And unlike soldiers, debt does not go home. It compounds. The psychology of control. The most effective power is invisible. When control feels like choice, it is rarely questioned. Debt works because it looks neutral, technical, inevitable, boring. But its consequences are anything but. Who benefits from this system? Those closest to credit creation benefit first. Governments gain flexibility. Financial institutions gain influence. Markets gain leverage. Those further away pay later, through taxes, through inflation, through reduced options. This is not a conspiracy. This system was not designed in one room by one group. It evolved, slowly, rationally, incrementally. Each step made sense on its own. Together, they replaced force with finance. Armies still exist, but power moved. Soldiers still matter, weapons still matter, but they are no longer the primary tool of global control. Debt is, because debt shapes behavior before violence is ever considered. Empires once fell when their armies were defeated. Now they fall when their credit collapses, when borrowing becomes impossible, when interest overwhelms budgets, when confidence breaks. No invasion required. Debt did not eliminate armies, it made them optional, and in many cases, irrelevant. Power no longer marches, it compounds. If this explanation helped you understand how power really works in the modern world, like the video and subscribe to the channel. More finance and economic history documentaries coming next.